So it was Zambia versus Cameroon at the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium in a dead rubber match that promised a lot of intrigue. All the same, both teams building teams. For Cameroon, they are trying to build a team that is going to give a decent account of themselves as they host the Africa Cup of Nations in 2019. So it was Wetson Nyirenda versus Hugo Bruce. Let's have a look at the two lineups that were made by the two gaffers ahead of this game at the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium. So for Zambia, we went 4-4-2. Which was basically variating into 4-1-4-1. Brian Mwila, the shirt number 22 in orange, and Patson Daka would actually exchange playing the number 9 and number 10 roles. Then we had Cameroon playing a defensive 4-3-3 formation with Vincent Abubakar leading the line. Clinton G was also in the mix on the left-hand side. And of course, Sebastian Siani, of course, the number 15 was going to be an important cog for that one. Now, gentlemen, this is a game that we drew. It felt like we lost, actually, because, yes, Brian Miller gave us the lead and we were saying, okay, yes, good photo finish, but didn't actually happen. From the two selections right there, in terms of the tactical consideration, Cameroon went 3 in central midfield. We went with 2.
You see, I think the game it was good, and the two teams, they know they're already out. They don't qualify. The result of the game it won't affect too much. So both teams, they try to try something new, see how it could work to help him in AFCON, like Zambia helped him in AFCON qualifier, and also see how this formation can work, and also some new players. They have to try some new players. Cameroon is the same. They try to stand on the best team to win 2019 AFCON, because this is the only thing remaining for them right now. So I think when he tried to play 4-3-3, try he's playing away, so he tried to make traffic crowd. He congested the midfield by 5 players, because he's almost playing 4-5-1, because the other striker come from the midfield. So when he during the build-up, he's already have 5 in the midfield, and this 5 they stretch from 2 to 3, and the other 2 they push with the other striker, then increase the number until the attack was 4 strikers. Zambia, they are playing home, so the idea is if we start with 2 in the midfield, it means he's pushing, he's using the wing, and also he's playing with clear 2 strikers in the 18 area. He does to hold 4 players, or at least to hold 3 players for Cameroon, to put Cameroon under pressure, because he's demanding the result at home. So this is why, if you look at this issue, this is why Zambia there was more attack at the beginning of the game and score goal.
Okay, now Vespa, as we look at the match statistics, probably it's a game that was going to be decided by tactics. Did you feel that way after all is said and done?
Yeah, for me, looking at it, the way the game itself started, and knowing Cameroon, that it's not a team that you can just beat and say that we've won and forget about it. It's a team which you sit down and plan and prepare to avoid maybe being scored a lot of goals. Because if you look at the way they were organized, just from the keeper himself, the defense, and the midfield, you could see that they are looking for something which may help them in future, especially when you look at their system. of play. I think they've continued to from the Roger Millers we used to watch. You could see that it's the same system which they are still using. And like if you look at ours, yes, we are trying to build and also trying to change the system, which I think if you look at the system which we are trying to use now, that we should be attacking from the wing. I think that one can also help us, because of late Kalusha Bwari has made his name because of the way he was playing from the wing. And if we talk of like in the midfield, we are strong in the midfield. Yes, we could say we are strong because of the way we were organized in the midfield. They looked strong because of maybe heavy bodies of Cameroon, but if you talk of Zambia in terms of maybe skills, we were very good in that one. But the organization itself, especially on like the systems between like the way the Cameroonians are organizing themselves and the Zambia the way we are organizing ourselves, since we are also building, we have new players who are coming in. Yes, we could see they have that heart of maybe changing the game, that people should see a new face of Zambia national team.
Okay, let's just have a look at the classified match statistics that saw this game end 2-2. That's even Stevens, both teams sharing a point. Let's just look at the numbers briefly, gentlemen, before we get into the tactical issues in detail. Ball possession, 48% for Zambia compared to 52% for Cameroon. Shots off target, 2 for Cameroon compared to 11 for Zambia. Shots on target, 9 for Zambia compared to 3 for Cameroon. Cameroon committed 21 fouls compared to 15 for Zambia. It was equal in terms of yellow cards and red cards, but yes, saves. The Cameroonians were forced into making 7 saves compared to only 1 for Kennedy Mwene. Crosses, you had 11 for Zambia, where only 2 landed on the target and 9 for Cameroon. And the majority of those crosses for Cameroon came from where, the right-hand side. Let's get into the tactical details, shall we? Let's look at Zambia's play-out attack in this game that was played at the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium. So, here we go, Coach Fatih. When we tried to play out, number one observation is that Donashano Malama is not participating in the play out. And of course, we are playing with 2 in central midfield. That actually means, consequently, it's up to Mwepu, Augustine, and maybe Fashion to move the lines up, because already Donashano Malama, the defensive midfielder, is not participating. But when that happens, when the ball gets into Mwepu, when we manage to play out one, when Cameroon is playing a medium press game, would seemingly sip through, get forward, but have those numbers. But Cameroon, again, look at the organization. The jersey number 17 versus Mwepu. Of course, his man marking him in central midfield. Siani, the number 15 for Cameroon, is screening there. But for Mwepu and for Daka, the number 3, and Brian Muller, Brian had to peel off a little bit and come a little bit down to collect the ball.
Because they mark him. So he has to skip from his marker. He has to lose his marker, like this he can receive the ball. This is why the only way for him, for the striker to lose his marker, is to go towards the midfield. And when he goes towards the midfield, now the other striker, they have to use the space. The one he leave behind him in the defense line for the opening. And then he would turn and join. This is it's modern football for the striker. The striker, he can't stand on the back four, sleep with the defender the whole game.
Yeah, and now I'm just thinking, we are playing out. So Donashano Malama is not participating in the play out. I don't know, 2 things there. Is he not making himself available, or the game plan is removing him from the play out?
No, I think
for me, you know what I saw, Zite, was Donashano Malama was too much in defense. You would find Mwepu doing the donkey work. Most of the times he's there up front, he comes back again to get the balls deep in the center circle line, which I think was wrong for us. If we wanted to get more goals, looking at the way the coach was substituting, putting in strikers for some of the substitutes he was making. But if you look at Zambia in attack, if we want to have so many goals, let's not allow these guys, number 9, number 10, Daka, to be dropping deep to get the balls. You know, they have speed, which if they get the balls just near the 18 area, we can be scoring as many goals.
But what was the impact of that? Donashano not participating in the player?
No, his job is security. What security? When the team attack, he always go behind the attack. In case if there is any breakdown, they go back to him, then he change that again. When the team lose the ball, his job is to try to delay the opponent or break the final third until the team drops. So,
but don't you think
his job?
Muhammad?
No. You see, every player has got a capacity, and I think the coach he understands the capacity of the player. So if you overload the player, he can shut down during the game.
So question, right?
So sometimes you give him 1 or 2 jobs, he knows he's going to do these 2 jobs. But if you give him another third one, he will start now getting confused.
So which brings me to the question. So are you saying no role for Donashano Malama when we have the ball and when we're in attack?
No. You see, no. In that situation, he was a bit cautious because the profile for Cameroon is big. He's playing against high-profile team, so maybe he was a bit.
So you are saying he was keeping his.
Yeah, I was a bit worried about if he push himself, he create a gap, and it will cost the team.
But it's a medium press.
In such situations,
Coach Fati and Janza, hold on, gentlemen, hold on. Cameroon are doing a medium press. So if Donashano wanted, or if Donashano was told, he'd probably go short, go nearer to Stopila, and Enoch Tembo go in the diagonal pocket, receive the ball, and begin to move the lines. What are we talking about?
You know, his capacity, the job done, he's been asked to do. Maybe he doesn't. I see like the game. Maybe the pressure of the game, the player sometimes he doesn't.
So Donashano wouldn't.
No,
he's a
good player, and I'm sure he will do it in the following game. You understand?
Okay. What Muhammad
it's not a complete job, but
it's if you look at what Muhammad is talking about, also for me, okay, I look at it like he was too much into defense, not to allow the Cameroonians to get into our area.
So my question is very simple. So you people, you are sitting here and telling me that in terms of attack, Donashano Malama will say, okay, no, let him just break down the play. In attack, it's okay. And because there's a very important point that's coming after this. Anyway, hold on to your thoughts. I'm bringing it. Let's talk about Cameroon in attack. We'll talk about that point. We've just put it on ice. Let's just have a look at Cameroon in attack. So here's what Cameroon was doing. So the right back would actually move forward, and you have the right winger, the jersey number 11, actually sometimes drifting in to create that space so that the fullback is able to run. But here is Andre Zambo, the shirt number 3. The guy playing number 10 would actually move from side to side, especially in the wide channels, to try to create that tactical overload. How do you think Cameroon did, especially knowing that in this game they didn't have the likes of Christian Basagok, they didn't have Benjamin Kanjo, and right there, I think the most dangerous player in the attack and the one they wanted to use during switch play drills was the number 7, Clinton G.
You see, they play wide, and the idea is to take Zambia to one side of the ground like this. They can drop the ball inside the box. They are very good in the air ball and also good in shooting from outside. So that is the idea is to stretch the game, to play with it. Like this, they can break the Zambian defense, because Zambian defense, when it comes close to each other, it's very difficult to break with 1-2 pass. So to break Zambian defense, they have to stretch this defense. So they have to play with this game. Then when they play with this game, approaching the final stage, now they have to drop the ball behind the defense, and this is what happen by cross, or to push the defense, stretch the defense and push them to front of the 18 area. Then they play the ball deep, play the ball in the midfield like this. The one is coming and shooting. This is the only way to break Zambia. But so far so good. It was a good game from both sides, Zambia and Cameroon. And also considering, if we look at the goals, the one conceded, it was the same from.
Probably the same thing. Switch play. Cameroon tried to create tactical overloads and that sort of a thing. How did Cameroon perform in that respect, and how was the reaction from the Zambians, Vespa?
Very good. When we started, if you look at our defense, one-on-one marking, Zita, you could see that they were pressing. Whereby you find that even their number 9 and number 10 could also drop deep to collect the ball, maybe somewhere in the center circle there. But the goodness which I saw with them, their number 9 and number 10 could drop, you would see at least someone trying to cover their position, which is maybe number 8 from the midfield, try to run in the space where they are coming from. Which I think in Zambia, some players, we try to have seen some teams trying to do the same system, but I don't know, it fails. But if you saw the way they were coming in attack, I think they were coming with force, and which you could do, even fear Zite that they may even score a lot of goals, like the way they came in the second half. I'm sure if we look at their performance, it's a team which is a strong team, and it's going somewhere.
Oh, by the way, needless to remind you that those were African champions, by the way. The ones who were playing. But anyway, let's just make a little bit of progress, because I want us to discuss Zambia's transition in terms of defense to attack, looking at how Cameroon was actually condensing their play and trying to play like that. But here is the situation that greeted us. So Cameroon were using a man-intensive attacking system where they would have the fullback going up, Sebastian Siani, and the 2 central defenders, and the left back would actually remain behind, and all the Zambian players would tactically go into their own half. But right there, once Zambia win the ball there, we didn't have a lot of leverage. You would actually send the ball quickly up into Brian Wheeler. Now, in that position, Brian Wheeler was receiving the ball with his back to goal. And right there, it became a question of the support play that could probably happen between Brian and Patson is disconnected because of the presence of Sebastian Siani there. He's closing that line of pass, the jersey number 15, for Brian Wheeler to turn and probably bring him on. And of course, he's being marked by Yaya Banana, the number 21 there. It must have been a tough day at the office for Brian. I look at Brian and Patson to be players who prefer looking at the opponent facing the goal as opposed to their back to goal.
The strength for both of them is to face the defender face to face. So he has to turn. So the only way for him as a top man to turn, when you receive the ball, he has to find the midfielder, the attacking midfielder, to give him the ball, or the wing, 7 or 11 one, depending about which side of the ground he's playing. To give him the ball like this, he can pull himself and change his position, and it change with the other striker. Now you can progress in that side. So that one was being marked man to man, and because of the pressure, he tried to push himself to the midfield. Now he come to the area of the midfield now for them to progress to counter. Now you have to use fast winger on the right, on the left.
No, I'm just thinking. So, what we do in terms of the transition? I noticed something about Cameroon in transition defense to attack or vice versa. Is that every time they won the ball back, they were not hoofing the ball anyhow. They would actually try to pick a pass, even in very tight spaces. And on the other hand, for us, immediately we won the ball, we would look for the furthest option up the pitch. Do you think if we're going to do what you're suggesting, Muhammad, it therefore means we need more composure on the ball, especially when you win the ball back?
No, when you play like this, you need fast wingers and very good attacking midfield to rescue the top man, because the top man, when he receives the ball, his back, it's on the opponent goalkeeper, because the defender is already trying to push him out. So now for him to turn, he got two options. Either he's very careful to take to the midfield and start turning, or to give the midfielder and start open to receive the ball in the space. And it's a bit difficult for the striker if they have very good marker, to be bad day for him, because he can lose the ball, and this is where the breakdown can happen.
Now, let's talk about that one, because I want us to look at the touch map for Brian Mueller in this game and just have a feel of what that meant in terms of what we're trying to do in transition and where we placed it. That's his touch map. The majority of the time we win the ball is actually coming very deep into midfield, trying to get the ball and turn back. But again, we didn't have runners beyond him. We didn't have a good changeover into bringing his teammates and numbers and creating support for the attack, Muhammad.
No, you see, when the striker is playing like this, the attacking midfield is a key person to unlock the defense of the opponent, because they give the ball to the attack midfield, and the attack midfield they distribute to the right and left. Now the striker will turn and go free with the speed towards the team area, waiting the ball to come from
so that attacking midfielder is called Enoch Tembo.
Yes.
Yeah, but if we win the ball and the ball is not coming 2 feet, it's being headed or being hoofed forward into Brian Mueller. At that point, what does Enoch do?
Yeah, because if we talk of, we go back to the midfield, as you said, like on Danoshano Malama, who was so much deep into defense. You find that Mwepu was all over. He goes to help the strikers, comes back in the midfield. Don't you think, Muhammad, Danoshano was supposed at least to beef up a bit of...
Thank you, Vespa, for remembering.
No. Here is the triangle between the two strikers and the attacking midfield. The job for the defensive midfield in this situation is to protect this attack. In case if there is any breakdown, you're supposed to go back to him, and him is the one do the job for the attacking midfield, distribute to the...
Should it be in the game plan?
Supposed to play for 7-11.
That instruction where, yes, we are saying, don't give the ball straight to Brian. Let it go wide so that Brian must start running forward, and you could probably give the second pass to him. And those coming from midfield become the second and third man runners from midfield. Should that be in the game plan, or the players can use initiative? To what extent can that be initiative?
Yeah, even the players themselves can use the initiative. The coach can have his own plan to say this is how we are going to do it. But looking at the team you are playing with, like teams like Cameroon, you saw how they are organized. We had chances of, like, maybe we say we use our wingers to attack. But it was not...
Sometimes as a coaches, we know the players, we know his capacity. So sometimes we said, in this situation, don't give him the ball. Because we know if we give him the ball, I'm talking general, I'm not talking about Donashano, but I'm saying sometimes we know the capacity of the player. If there is a pressure here and the player, the one is playing on him, is very good, we said don't give him the ball. The best way is to kick the ball, to give the ball to 7-11 or to give it to the striker. But don't go back to your defensive midfield and they start rebuild the attack from right to left or from left to right, or you start distribute.
But here's the question, Muhammad and Vespa. So we play with two strikers, okay? Patson and Brian Miller. For me, they're both number 9. Then left wing, we put Fashion Sakala. Now, Fashion Sakala is right-footed. Yes, because of the speed. But now, I'll bring into question, do we want Fashion Sakala to play like a traditional winger where immediately we lose the ball, he's running all the way back, tracking back, and he's going up? Because I'm thinking, tactically speaking, if I see the lineup and I see Fashion Sakala in that game, I'm thinking immediately we win the ball in transition, look for Fashion. I saw Zambia do that. It was Zambia, I think, against Guinea-Bissau, where I think Luandamina told the players, immediately we win the ball, look for the player who is free, high and wide in the game plan. It will be Renford. In this case, the guy who was free was Brian, but in a central area, marked by 2 defenders.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. If you see the striker marked by 2 defenders, don't give him the ball. He's supposed to play wide. And the modern football now, they don't give the striker, because even the striker himself, he try to be creating one-on-one situation. So he always take one of the defender and is playing wide. So even the top man is taking one defender and is going wide. His maga and is going wide to open to stretch the back 4. But he's not standing with 2 defenders. He has to move. He has to skip before he receive the ball. So his job. So Brian, what he's doing is running towards the midfield like this. He can not receive the ball. He's
to create space. But the ball is going to him.
To the other top man, and also at the same time he try to play with the midfield like this. He can turn.
So you've coached Brian before. How many times did you use him in that number 10 row where he gets twists, turns, and brings in Patson Daka in attack?
No. Brian always play number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9. Yeah.
So what was that? What was that thing?
You know why he played
as a 10, because Brian you have to be fair to him.
Brian is very good number 9 because in the air he's very good. And when he receives the ball outside the 18 area, he can score. He's good at good shot. But the Brian, the accelerator for the Brian to speed, he need at least 40 yards or 50 yards. No, dribbler is not that high level, but he can dribble, but he is not that, we can say this like Renford or...
So who was the best man to play that role?
No, he was doing very well. Brian was doing very well because, I'll tell you something. He knows he knows what is good, and he knows his capability. So this is why he knows if I give him 50 yards, one-on-one, Brian maybe will start slow, but after 10 yards, Brian, you find the speed start increasing. So at the last 20 yards, Brian will beat any defender and they will score. One-on-one with the goalkeeper, he will score. But in a short distance, 10 yards, speed between him and the defender, just to the goal. That the takeoff. The takeoff for Brian is a bit slow, but it starts increasing after 10 yards. So he needs a space. This is why I was running to the midfield, because he can run from the line of the midfield to the 18 area. When he reaches the 18 area, the defender will be in his back.
Let's just have a look at Zambia's long attack, because medium press, when Donashano Malama is not taking part in the attack, there was no immediate option for that line of pass to lift the attack forward. So here's what would happen. Most of the times, Stopila would get the ball, and Stopila now would have the responsibility of moving the ball forward. In the absence of Donashano Malama, who's got gentle pressure from Andre Zambo, okay, the Sheikh number 3, and of course Vincent Abubakar. But again, that's another thing, gentlemen. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 Zambian defenders failing to outwit two Cameroon strikers. And immediately you get the number 3 and the number 10 to follow that pass. It means Mwepu is free, Donashano is free, and yes, we can just play out with consummate ease. But in that situation, what Zambia began to do is, when the ball gets to store, long ball into Bran, to probably try to get him to 10, dribble, and bring the likes of Augustine Mlenga into the game, probably fashion Sakala. Vespa.
Yeah, Zike, if you look at our organization and the Cameroon organization, especially when they are attacking, you could see the way their number 9 and the number 10 were trying to interchange and find the space for them to at least create a space. But for ours, it was like we are trying to protect ourselves, not to allow them to score. And you could see that even when we are trying to come out, when we have the ball, we could not have short passes. We play long passes, whereby Cameroon in defense, they are always very good in organization, in defense itself. So you find that we lose the ball cheaply, and they get the ball easy for them even to build up and maybe move forward.
Now I'm just thinking, Mohammed, can you get away at that level of football refusing or not wanting to use that space when your opponent is doing a medium press and you decide to float the ball? Should we be learning? Is it high time we begin learning how to use that space? Should it be tactically unacceptable for 4 players not to keep the ball against 2 players who are doing a medium press?
I think the coach he looked at the Cameroon is high profile team, and they are very good in pressing. So sometimes we said, okay, if we lose the ball, they are very good in pressing, like even Tunisia, Morocco, Egypt, they are very good in pressing in the midfield. So if you lose the ball, it will reflect a negative side against you. So the best way, sometimes if you don't have a confidence to build in the midfield and to make 1-2 passes in short space like this, you can play deep pass using the line, make the cross, you play long ball. When you play long ball, whatever happens, it happens in the other side of the opponent. But also it's risk, because you can play a game, you can lose the ball most of the time, then end of the day you find yourself under pressure at 5% and you lose the game at the end.
Okay, with that said, let's have a look at Cameroon's transitional shape. Of course, when they receive that long flighted ball, you have a situation where Cameroon now will want to attack in transition. In terms of the transitional shape, Andre Zambo, the number 10, wearing the number 3 rather, would actually drop back into midfield and become the 3rd man in midfield. But Vincent Abubakar and Clinton G would actually stick there. But let me just turn your attention to the second player on the screen, Clinton Ng, who stand high and wide. Now, in this game, we had very little Faxon Kapumbu going forward to try to provide that support and with it, and probably it was because of the tactical vulnerabilities that the team has had for a while, and so probably we tweaked it a bit. So the one who was on attack duty was Adrian Chama, and coincidentally Adrian G would actually remain behind. So technically Stopila Suzu, the number 13, now in transition, if there's a breakdown and if Cameroon manage to get the ball into that side of the pitch, has to think about 2 players. Vincent Abubakar, the number 10, and Clinton G. What do you make of that, Vesp?
Yeah, very good if you look at it in attack, Zite, whereby if you see the way they were using the wingers. Most of the times, if you look at Zambia's attack, we always attack from the wing, the back wing. Most of the times, you find Kapungu also is going there trying to make crosses. I'm sure they also looked at us to say maybe it can be the where they can be attacking from, especially when he goes into attack. But I think if we look at the way he played for this game, he was not overlapping. Most of the times was behind his opponent, which I think it helped from the beginning. But if you look at Cameroon's movements, you could see that they were trying to at least achieve something out of their movements, looking at the way their midfielders were moving from the midfield and the up front. You know, look at even where they scored that goal. Most of their passes, they are trying to get into our right back. Maybe they could try to penetrate, because they felt through Kapungu there. He was a bit tough. I'm sure they tried to change the system to say, okay, if we have failed to penetrate this side, let's try to the right side, which they tried to play the short passes, which I think it helped them. If you look at the touches they had, I think they were very good in ball possession.
What's your comment, Muhammad, on that attack and that transitional shape on the part of Cameroon? Would you take such a risk? I'm just thinking, it's Clinton G, and we've probably deciphered that that's the guy they want to use in transition to construct the attacks. But Adrian is going. Adrian is going, and Clinton and Vincent are double teaming Stopila. Would you?
No. The profile for the player is very high, and we can take risk with this one.
You can't take that risk.
We can't take that risk because you know why? At AFCON, Egypt have this situation with Cameroon. We try to push towards the midfield. They leave Abu Bakr. So the same player, he knows how to skip from his marker very well inside the box. That's why it's easy for him. He's the one who scored most of the goals.
Yeah.
Cameroon, so
yeah, he remembers it like yesterday. They lost that final, that crowned Cameroon champion.
Just one ball.
Just one ball. Anyway, I want to pay glowing tribute to a young man who is playing with distinction. He's not playing like a young man. He's playing like an alpha male. He's probably a lion, but he was on Chipolo Polo's roster. He was wearing jersey number 14. His name is Enoch Tembo. Let's just have a look at his touch map, because the work ethic and those trap balls describe the shots he had. Of course, hit the crossbar and made the goalkeeper work. But look at the work rate in view of the situation that he has to link play himself, because the defensive midfielder is not doing it. I don't know whether it was part of the plan or he was not doing it. But here's a boy doing a man's job. Look at that touch map.
It's very good. That player is very good. I enjoy watching him playing football. And I'm telling you, he could touch, discipline, tactically discipline. He's doing in this game he did his job and also the job for the defensive midfield from time to time. But
because it's not easy.
And this is what you see, we can say we are attacking midfield now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Enoch
having a
my man of the match.
Yeah, a good midfielder like him, I think for the country is a plus. But we need someone to help him. Zite.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the way he was moving up and down, trying to help, sometimes even in the defense, midfield, up front, I'm sure even if you can say that he was injured, no one can say.
Yeah, and sadly we lost him.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
injury.
but he was.
He did complete the game.
Yeah, yeah, he controlled the game. I think if you see Zambia this time playing, is one of the players who has changed also the style of play in the midfield, where we remember the late Debbie Makinka, who can move. Me, I see him like most of the time. I don't call him computer. I call him Debbie, because that's the game which Debbie used to play. He can get the ball. He can shoot at the goal. And those are the midfielders we are looking for this time, especially in Zambia. If you can have more midfielders who can be attacking, also trying to score, then you also give that heart for the strikers to say, if a midfielder can be coming like this and try to score, even by passing us as strikers who are supposed to lead in scoring, then at least we have a good player.
Job well done, that's all we can say. But let's just look at the goal that broke our hearts. Of course, our lead didn't last very long after Patson Daka gave us the lead after a sweet attack. Sweet combination play between Fashion Sakala himself. But let's just have a look at the goal and how it came. So let's first look at the starting point for that goal. So here is what happened. The ball is on the bottom side of your screen right now. But you see Enoch Mwepu, in fact, just outside your D, that's Donashano Malam. That's Enoch Mwepu on the other side. And the goal scorer is looking in the opposite direction. That is the man on the screen there. And they're just exchanging passes in the wide area. As we earlier alluded, that Cameroon were trying to double team in the wide areas and make the Zambian midfield shift in one way and probably shift in the other way and try to get the goal. So let's look at the next slide after this point. So now you will notice something is that once the ball is there, you've got 1v1 Vincent Abubakar versus Topila Sunzu there. You've got Donashano Malama in the thickly dark marked circle with the guy who finally comes to score there. At the back end of your screen there, you've got Faxon Kapumbu with of course the number 11 who was playing the right wing for Cameroon. Let's go to the next slide and see what actually happened. So the exchange passes now, okay? There's Enoch Mwepu in the dark black circle, and you've got Donashano Malamba now on the other side of the penalty area trying to stop the man on the ball now. The man who finally scores is on the right hand of your screen watching, and nobody is picking him up or taking notice of him. Let's go to the next one. Then he turns at that point and floats the ball there. In the blue circle, Patson Daka runs back to try to stop that shot from being taken. Enoch Mwepu is in the yellow circle, and that's Donashano Malama there. 1-1, gentlemen. How many players behind the ball for Zambia? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Like what I told you, their plan is to play wide like this. They can drop the ball in front of the 18 area. The one coming from the midfield, he can shoot, or he can make deep pass to the left, to the other side from to the right one. Like this, he can shoot on target. That's always. This is West Africa, Ghana, Cameroon, Nigeria. They play the same. So.
But how did we do? Because if I show you the goal considered against Nigeria, we had 7 men behind the ball. It was a condensed attack. It was never a break attack. They scored.
And most of our goals which we have been scored is it, if you look at our organization in defense, we are good, yes, like I said, only one-on-one, yes. But when they are coming with the ball, I don't know whether we are told
the key person in this is
we leave a lot of
no, the key person in this zone is we have to be straightforward in this one. It's the principal.
It's the defensive midfield.
Hold on. Let's
now
look
you
at
are
the next. Let's
So,
look at the last slide. I want to ask you a
no,
question.
that defensive midfielder is
Donashano. He was the one who was supposed to block
I'm not
the.
gonna say name. I'll say
Okay,
that
I'm happy that
his
you-
job is to close the gap between the back four. So like this, there is no shot. Like this, we make always block from 3. So
Okay.
we always move with the ball.
Hold on, Mohammed. Let's have a look at the last slide. I've got interesting views there. Look, we are playing 4-4-2. Our 2 central midfielders are in the red circle and yellow circle. Okay? Cameroon are playing with 3. That there, the one who's taking the shot, is the 3rd attacking midfielder. It's not rocket science. So after that, now I'm thinking, and so we decided to play 4-4-2 with Patson Daka and Brian either playing square or one of them was supposed to be a number 10. But right there, in terms of making it 3, 1v1 in central midfield, who was supposed to do that job? So was it Donashano versus 2? Was it supposed to be 1 for Mwepu, 1 for Donashano, and 1 for Patson or Brian? I don't know in that moment who was supposed to be number 10, but who was supposed to be the 3rd man in central midfield? Muhammad.
No, it's usually one of the striker he drop it to the midfield to help. The team to
Patson in the blue circle was coming to try to stop that shot. I don't know that it was initiative or it was his responsibility. Vespa.
It was just his initiative, Zite. Because if you look at our midfielders, where they were positioned, you could see Danoshano trying to mark the other side to the right side, whereby you leave enough room for the guy even to have time of controlling the ball and the shoots. So it comes back to Muhammad DC.
No, it's a tactic plan, and I think the coach also used this game to try some of the players. So
yeah, but for me, Muhammad,
mistake it can happen.
Yeah, you know, we've talked about building.
Hold on. So before I let you go, gentlemen, I want you to tell something to the nation. Is that an error on the part of the player or the players, or it is a system problem?
It's a part of the players, not a system problem.
Yeah, it's the players.
Thank you, gentlemen. Because of that, I'm taking you for some coffee.